Guys, welcome to Fat Man and the Hawk. I'm the Hawk,
And I'm Cheeto Boy.
and there's the Cheeto Boy. All right, just a couple things here. Rocking my 2012 Marshawn Lynch jersey. Pretty happy about that. Couple things we're going to go over. It's official. Tim Tebow signs with the Jacksonville Jaguars. How do you feel about them?
How do I feel about them or Tebow?
Oh, yeah, them. Jacksonville. How do you feel about them?
I don't feel anything about Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence is going to be Ryan Leaf 2.0, as we say on this show.
Ryan Leaf 2.0. Is Tim Tebow going to be the next Gronk?
No. No? Definitely not at 32, 33 years old coming into the league. Definitely not.
I think he's 35, bud.
I think he's 33.
34 or 35. Okay, maybe you might be right.
Yeah, I think he'll be 34 in like the end of the year. Yeah.
Yep. First comment here. Where do you think Julio Jones is going to? We will get there in a minute.
That's actually our next topic. Yeah.
It's Tebow time. So
Yeah.
do you think that he's going to be able to actually block, or do you think he's only going to be used for passing downs?
I actually think he's going to be more of a blocker than a receiving tight end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what, though? I think that
Tebow's not super athletic. He only ran a 4.8 when he first came to the league. I don't say he probably isn't that athletic at his age anymore, even so.
Right.
He's probably running in the fives, which is, in my opinion, that's too slow to play tight end.
You know what, though? I feel like he's got the mind game of getting pancaked by a quarterback to his benefit.
I think he's going to be like a run blocker, and I think if you do see him in the pass catching, it's going to be in the like goal line packages.
Yeah.
We're going to see him I could even see him playing Wildcat quarterback.
Do you think that he could actually start? Do you think he's going to make the roster? Like, what do you think?
I think he's going to make the roster as long as, like, it depends on his contract. If he's making over $1 million or $2 million or $2 million, I think there's a chance he's going to stay on the roster. But if they're only paying him like $750K or something, one of those cheap, like, rookie kind of deal contracts, I could see him, depending on what they have on their roster, maybe just part ways with them.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the actual contract details here. I can't really find it right now.
Yeah,
because I'm honestly curious about that as well. Signs.
Yeah, because I think
he's 34, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, he's turning 34 in August.
I thought he was 33 or 32, and he was turning 33 or 34.
So it makes me believe we were both half right. Yeah, it doesn't. His contract details aren't known yet, so we'll find that coming out. But I think that he will make the roster, and
I think there's a good chance. Yeah, especially with the relationship with Urban Meyer.
Yeah, definitely. He's already got the chemistry with him. It's his boy. But I'm predicting somewhere of a stat line, which I already told you, 325 and 2 touchdowns for the whole year. I think that's reasonable. Even if he's the second string tight end, I think it's reasonable. I think he could get there. And it's honestly like a little bit lower end, middle of the road, lower end for a tight end. I know we see the Travis Kelce's, the Zach Ertz, the George Kittles, and be like, that's tight end production. I mean, it's really not. Anywhere between like 600 and 300 yards. That's what a typical tight end will get, through a season. But the next news, it's official. Julio Jones is on the trade block. I know that you and the Fat Man talked about this already. I know that you guys like to feel, well, I know you specifically feel like, excuse me, you specifically feel like Julio's going to come to the Patriots, or the Chargers, your second favorite team. Honestly, I think that might be your actual favorite team. But for me, I think San Francisco is a legitimate chance for him to be there because they've got the capital, they've got the money. They could definitely spend on a wide receiver. Honestly, they really don't need a number one. He would just help the guys that they have, the young guys, Ayuk and Debo. He's just going to benefit them for the long run. And the other team I have is LA. Now, obviously, LA is a little bit strapped for money. They don't necessarily have the capital there, but they could figure something out. They could give away some of those defensive players to possibly get them, restructure a contract, and then there you go. Stafford's got his Calvin Johnson. So, I mean, your most likely scenario, I'm going to say, is New England.
Yep, New England. If he ain't in the Patriot uniform, I want to see him go to Green Bay and win a ring.
You think he'd win a ring in Green Bay just from being there?
With Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones and Robert Tonyan and that top 5 offensive line? Yes.
Aaron Rodgers ain't playing for the Packers this year. He's playing for Jeopardy.
Not if Julio Jones gets traded.
You think just Julio Jones is going to revitalize that whole relationship?
Yeah, because that's the reason why he wants out is because they're not getting the right pieces around him. That's the whole reason of why he wants out. They drafted a backup quarterback. They drafted a backup running back. They took a cornerback in this year's draft. And I believe they didn't draft a wide receiver until the 3rd round, who's probably going to be a 4th or 5th wide receiver.
But how is that going to work when Rodgers is going to go play for the Steelers?
I said next year, though. I didn't say this year.
Okay. All right. You know what, though? In all seriousness, if he is on Green Bay, you're looking at a really, really, really good wide receiver core. Alan Lazard and Marquez Valdez-Scantling, that would be the best 3 and 4 wide receivers in the league, honestly. Because I think Alan Lazard and Marquez, they're both I wouldn't say the best twos in the league, but they're really serviceable twos. They're really good. Both of them have, take the top off speed. Couple that with a big time catcher as Julio and Devontae, then that's a pretty unstoppable offense.
Yeah, and you no longer can double team Devontae Adams like you could in previous years.
Well, I thought it was funny. Every time they did, it just bit him in the ass, anyways.
Yeah, but I'm saying in the playoffs and shit,
yeah,
you're not going to be able to double team Devontae Adams if you got Julio Jones out there.
Yeah,
if you got a good enough corner, you can kind of contain those other guys, especially with a good pass rush and stuff like Tampa had. That's why I say a guy like Julio Jones I think that would really put Green Bay over the top because you got to figure that Green Bay's been in the NFC Championship the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
They just need that extra firepower, I think, on offense. They need another difference maker.
Here's a guy that agrees with me, Julio Jones to San Francisco. He has experience with Shanahan.
Yeah. My only thing is though, the way San Francisco's offense runs, they run that power West Coast run. So and they kind of go through George Kittle a lot, the tight end.
Well, that's not necessarily Shanahan. Shanahan's offense with RG3 and Matt Ryan, was vastly different than what his offense looks like with San Francisco. And there was reports last year about him being taking reps from the quarterbacks to throw the ball in the spots that he wants them to throw because Jimmy G and Mullins, they're not putting the ball where he wants them to go. They're not reading the defenses like he wants them to. So a lot of that has to do with their quarterbacks like Jimmy Garoppolo. I know you're a fan over there, but he's a guy that likes to throw to tight ends, running backs. He's not necessarily the guy that likes to throw an out or somewhere on the sideline.
But Jimmy Garoppolo is still the quarterback.
For now, yeah.
Yeah, at least for probably this year. More than likely.
Maybe for the first preseason game.
Yeah, okay. That'd be the 49ers' worst mistake That'd be
I don't
that's
know.
worse. That's worse than them not taking Justin Fields at 3 over Trey Lance, in my opinion. I don't think Trey Lance should see the field at all this year.
Trey Lance at 3 no matter what, bud.
He's a project. He throws if you're a wide receiver, you better be ready to catch the ball out of bounds, because that's where the ball's going with Trey Lance. Because he throws the ball, he's very inaccurate, especially downfield. He throws the ball out of bounds. He's very inaccurate. To me, he's like Josh Allen rookie year. You're going to get that out of Trey Lance this year. Like, he's a 3-year project type guy.
I think off the top of my head, he was 43% on the deep ball his last season in college. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, that was his only season in college. And he also, like I said, the thing that hurts Trey Lance is he's inexperienced playing the position. He's only played like 16 or 17 games in college. And usually those guys don't pan out in the NFL, especially if they have to start right away.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I say you need to sit him and let him learn, like, the NFL game. And not only that, like, this guy's not going from, like, the SEC to the NFL. This guy played at the FCS level. So he's like, it's almost like he's going like 3 levels up, kind of like 2 levels up, 3 levels up.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, SEC is the closest thing we have to the NFL. And, those guys sometimes don't pan out. And then Lance plays at North Dakota State. Yeah, they're arguably like the best FCS program as well. They're really good. They're always in the Final Four.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they were in the playoffs this year for the FCS. They didn't win it all, but they got pretty far this year. I think they lost in the second round or the semifinals or Elite Eight or whatever, but they made it pretty far this year and didn't have Trey Lance. So, and honestly, Trey Lance I know he only played in 1 game, but if you watch his 2020 tape, would he look awful? He only completed, I think, 50% of his passes in that game, and he nearly lost the game.
Mm-hmm.
So Trey Lance has a lot. In my opinion, he has the most to work on, but he does have maybe the highest upside as well, because he can throw the ball like 80 yards, and he's like, I would say he's like a Josh Allen, Dak Prescott at mobility. He's mobile, but he has arm.
Yeah, any quarterback can succeed in the 49ers system. He has an underrated receiving core, the best tight end, a good O-line, and a top 10 defense. All things I think we agree with.
Okay, my question, though, is if anybody can succeed in the 49ers system or the Kyle Shanahan system or whatever, then why didn't the 49ers draft Mac Jones like everybody was saying? Because if anybody can work, and like I said, Trey Lance is more of a project. Mac Jones is more like NFL ready right now. And the 49ers, in my opinion, they're a must-win now team. Like, George Kittle in a couple years is going to start falling off because he's going to get old. Their offensive line's going to start falling off because they're going to get old. Their defense still has some young talent on it, but your defense can only carry you so long.
I think with San Francisco, though, all right, so I kind of agree with this guy's saying. Any quarterback can succeed in the 49ers system, right? When it comes to why they chose Trey over, Mac Jones, kind of goes, or it kind of goes back to the draft when they took Alex Smith over Aaron Rodgers. They decided not to go with the guy that was flashy. They decided
I think that was a different system back then because Kyle Shanahan.
Very true, different system. And if I'm not mistaken, from the reports before the draft, Shanahan was more on Mac Jones, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that's who he liked going forward in the draft, and that's not who they took. But, I mean, I'm with this guy. I know that no matter what quarterback's there, as long as that team doesn't get hit with the worst injury bug I've ever seen in my life, again, twice in a row, they'll be good.
I mean, yeah, they did win, 7 games with, 4 games, 6 games from Jimmy Garoppolo and Nick Mullins the rest of the year?
And C.J. Beathard. I think he actually won them.
Yeah, and their defense had some injuries, too. Their defense, that was really good, had some of their key players.
Ford and Bosa were out. You're talking about 2 of the top 7 or 8 defensive linemen in the NFL out.
Yeah, that kind of made that kind of exposed their secondary a little bit because the 49
Right. Sherman, I think, only played 3 or 4 games too.
because their secondary kind of like they don't get talked about as much. Like it's the beginning of their great defense, but that's kind of why I think he says they kind of fell off once those pass rushers got hurt. But they do got some good linebackers like Fred Warner. He's one of my favorite linebackers in the league.
Yep, he's fast, good in coverage, good at
I think he's
recognizing
only
what's going on.
23, so he's 2-3 years he's going to be in his prime and at his best.
Yep. I've always said good pass rush hides a bad secondary, so you might be onto something there. All right, so let's move it on since we're a little bit since we're already talking about Mac Jones a little bit. Bye, Felicia. Bye, Cam Newton. How do you feel about the reports coming out about Mac Jones?
Sounds like Tom Brady to me.
Sounds like Tom Brady. You know what I was reading is, they're really impressed with how he's performing, how accurate he is, his leadership, his film study. They're really impressed with what the work he's put in so far. Does that make you want him to start week 1? Or do you still think sit behind Cam Newton? I know that you specifically think that Cam Newton's going to have a better year. Or are you just ready to say, bye, Felicia, I'm ready for Mac Jones?
So here's what I have. Cam Newton is the guy I want to start because I think Mac Jones, yes, if based on our system, Mac Jones can win, I think, more in our system. The problem I have is rookie quarterbacks typically don't come in and win. Like you don't win, you usually don't make a playoffs and win with rookie quarterbacks. So that's my only problem with Cam or with starting Mac Jones over Cam because Cam's been in the NFL. And I personally, I've always said this. I think quarterbacks do better when they learn and sit and how to be a professional. So that's what I think. I think Mac Jones should take the whole year off and sit and learn how to be a pro. And I know like Alabama's, I guess, the closest thing to that. But, learn how to manage his money and just, be a pro, watch other people. And that's why I think they brought Brian Hoyer in. That's what makes me think, too, that either A, Jared Stidham's gone, because there's also reports that he could be on the block now. But the other, in the back of my head, this other thought too is maybe they're bringing in Hoyer because maybe Cam Newton's, they're impressed with Mac, so they're just going to send Cam Newton out the door. Because of those 3 quarterbacks, they all kind of fit each other's style of play. Cam Newton doesn't really fit those 3 guys' style of play. So they're all more of your typical, passing quarterbacks. Yeah, with
Josh McDaniels guys.
Yeah, Stidham has a little more mobility than what your typical pocket passer does. But those 3 guys are mainly like sit in the pocket, read the defense, throw on-time accuracy quarterbacks, where Cam Newton's, his accuracy's up and down, and he's a very good athlete. But, yeah.
He's an Alabama quarterback. When you have the best running backs, wide receivers in the nation, my cat can succeed in Alabama. He must have a pretty damn good cat.
Yes, that a lot of that is a lot of question marks around Mac Jones. Yes, he did play at Alabama, but you also got to look at it like this. None of these quarterbacks, people say Alabama quarterbacks are bust, Ohio State quarterbacks are bust. None of these Alabama quarterbacks or Ohio State quarterbacks were thought about to be first-round picks. J.T. Barrett from Ohio State, Troy Smith. None of these guys were first-round picks, and they were also run-first type of quarterbacks before the game kind of adjusted to that. So that's another reason why I think a lot of Ohio State quarterbacks is bust. Because they weren't, in my opinion, none of those quarterbacks are like first or second round. Dwayne Haskins might have been a second or third round talent. He went in the first round. I said Dwayne Haskins was going to be a bust though when he got drafted. Alabama guys, honestly, there's not really been that many Alabama quarterbacks in the last 15 years or so that were drafted. Like, honestly, like NFL ready before Tua and Mac Jones the last couple of years, I thought A.J. McCarron was probably like the most ready Alabama quarterback, and he kind of had like a noodle of an arm. So, and he's a good career backup, but he's not a starter.
Yeah, to me, Alabama produces like USC type quarterbacks.
Yeah, like I think Mac and Tua are actually going to be pretty solid in the NFL. I really do. And another thing I bring up is people want to say that, but did you realize that Tua had those same weapons? He also had Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs. Mac Jones, if you go look at it statistically for Mac Jones and statistically look at Tua from last year, or from Alabama's or Tua's last year, Alabama, and Mac's last year, Alabama, and Tua had another 2 first-round guys playing at receiver. And Mac's numbers were actually better. Completion percentage, touchdown, the interception ratio, everything, passer rating. Same thing with like Joe Burrow, LSU. He had a stacked team, and look at him. He balled out as a rookie this year, even though he had a stacked offense around him. So just because somebody has a stacked offense around them in college doesn't mean they're a bad quarterback.
Yep. Justin Fields is a bust. Chicago has never had a 4,000-yard passer.
That's going to change this year with Andy, the Red Rifle Dalton.
There we go. My Chicago Bears have an Ohio State quarterback that will change that narrative. And I'm just going to say I'm in on Dalton over here too. So
yeah,
there we go. Cheeto boy in the dungeon.
Dave.
And what's going on, bud? How you doing? Not sure who that is.
So, yeah, what I got to say real quick before we go on to the next topic. Chicago Bears, if Aaron Rodgers holds out, write it down. NFC North champs right now.
The Minnesota Vikings.
No. Quit sucking Mike Zimmer off.
How do you know it wasn't Kirk Cousins?
Well, I hope you're not sucking him off. He's been on 4 different teams, 3 different teams now already. And he might be the most highest paid quarterback that's overrated. Like, I'm not saying he's overrated, but for the money that he makes.
Mm-hmm. I kind of lost my train of thought here. What was I going to say?
You were going to say Mac Jones.
I think that the Minnesota Vikings as a whole got better. You know, the Dalvin Tomlinson sign. You know, we got Justin Jefferson over there in his second year, already has a 1,400-yard season. You know, that they have one of the top 5 running back in the NFL. They've got potentially two top 10 wide receivers.
You know what the Vikings' best move was this offseason? Well, 2. Signing Patrick Peterson, veteran cornerback, because that's what they need. Number 2 was getting rid of Kyle Rudolph because their backup tight end, Irv Smith Jr. is actually the better tight end. So that's another. That was actually, I thought that was their best.
Rudolph, though, is a good tight end. Like
yeah, he's a good tight end. He was like 3 or 4 years ago. He was really good, but
no, he still was, dude. He's really good at contested catches.
But I think Irv Smith Jr. is one of the best young tight ends in football. So I think he's going to I think that was actually one of their best all-season moves. I know it's not really a move, but I think Irv Smith is going to have a really good year for tight end for them.
All right. Well, you know, my thing is I think that if Rodgers does hold out, I could definitely see a 2-way race between Minnesota and Chicago. And I give the edge to Minnesota. I feel like that team is more well-rounded, but both on offense and defense. You know, I know their defense isn't
they're definitely
as good as Chicago's, but they're definitely good.
Offense. They're definitely. Yeah. I'll give you that. They're definitely, because I think Minnesota, they're like the Falcons. They can score a lot of points. They can score with the best of anybody.
And it's funny that you put that up there and said they're like the Falcons, because like the Falcons, they would have finished this year 10-6 if every game ended at the halfway point of the game.
Which is weird saying that, because usually Mike Zimmer has he's kind of the opposite. They're kind of they kind of play like Chicago. They're like old school. They try to run the football and kind of manage the game and play good defense. And then this past year was like they were kind of the opposite. They were putting up a lot of points, but they were also giving up because that was the game Alvin Kamara had 6 touchdowns in fantasy football, and he killed it that week.
Yeah. Jacob called Fields a bust, and he hasn't played an NFL game. What? If Aaron Rodgers leaves Green Bay, my Chicago Bears wins the NFC North. And my favorite, I made a Bears fan mad cry.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think Chicago Bears are winning the NFC North if Aaron Rodgers holds out.
Yeah. All right. So now I want to talk a little bit about my Seahawks.
Move on.
Don't make me put you in the penalty box, all right? I'll call Ryan Finley out right now to go and take care of you in your house.
Yeah.
Yeah, you better be afraid of Finley. He'll come for you.
I'm the biggest fan. What do you mean?
Right now, you're not. I might be the biggest fan right now.
Go on.
But anyways, back to the Seahawks. Reports coming out of training camp. Dwayne Estrix looking phenomenal, very explosive. There's people are saying, in this offense that Shane Waldron's going to run for us, we're going to look pretty damn unstoppable, which I'm pretty happy about. We need to get Russell out of the pocket. We need him moving. And if it's anything like Los Angeles offense over the last 3 seasons, I 100% think that Russell is going to excel in that type of offense. That's the one thing Seattle's been missing, and I don't understand why we haven't been a team that had a quarterback like Russell roll out, get out of the pocket, make a decision on running or throwing. But that's the way the offense is going to look this season. I'm really excited about it, and I think that we have probably the fastest wide receiver core in the league right now with these 3. If not the fastest, second or third behind maybe the Ravens squad and Kansas City squad. That being said, I think DK, Tyler Lockett, and Estrix is going to be a really, really dominant 3 wide receivers set going forward for this season. How do you feel about Dwayne Estrich?
I don't know much about him. I just know he ran like a 4.3 something, and he seems like he's pretty solid for a 4th round pick or whatever.
Second.
Was he a 2nd round pick?
Yep, number 2.
I thought he was
2nd round. No, our 4th round pick was Trey Brown. That was cornerback.
Oh, the corner. Okay.
Yeah. But I don't know. Like, honestly, I was kind of pissed off that we picked a wide receiver. But at the same time, I'm kind of like up in the air on how bad the offensive line actually is, because
Ethan Postic.
Ethan Postic. Yeah, besides that guy, I think everybody else on the line is pretty solid, honestly. They were 7th, 8th in the NFL, I believe, in average time to throw the ball on passing downs. So, I mean, they can't be that bad if that's their stat line,
Yeah.
What's funny is Philadelphia was also up there in that, and everybody says their line sucks too. So maybe PFF just doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. Who knows?
Or maybe sometimes I feel like sometimes those quarterbacks sometimes hold on to the ball too long.
Right. And here's the thing. I know that there is a misconception about whether or not Russell Wilson holds on to the football too long. He does hold on to the ball long.
Yeah, a lot of quarterbacks do, though.
Oh, yeah, you've seen that jersey, buddy. You know it's beast mode.
Because Kyler Murray does the same thing all the time, too.
Right. But when it comes to Russ, Schottenheimer's offense, it really wasn't designed to have a quick passing attack. It was a lot of intermediate routes. It was a lot of timing routes. Hell, Lockett is almost always on an option route. Almost always on an option route. This is why I said if there's one guy that deserves the slot technician in Madden, it's fucking him, because he actually plays like that in real life. Doesn't have it. But he's almost always on an option route. Those things take time to develop. Very rarely did you see slants, drags, anything underneath that just to kind of put the tempo on. Like, you never see Lockett just doing like a quick little fade or a quick little slant on the inside from the slot to pick up a 10-yard gain. Something that we would see like from Julian Edelman, in the Patriots offense. You never see that. And a lot of that because Schottenheimer, I feel like, is an idiot and only likes to run the football, because before last season, it was heavily known that Seattle was a run-first offense. One of the reasons why we lost to the Dallas Cowboys in 2018 was because we were a run-first offense, and we decided not to pass the ball until well into the third quarter, which was already too late. Things are changing over in Seattle, though. I'm pretty pumped about what's going on over there.
They're changing, but Rashad Penny's job isn't.
You know what's funny though? There's also some reports about Rashad. He's healthy now. They like how much he's working. They didn't pick up his 5th-year option, which is okay, considering he was hurt. The guy is really, really explosive. Carson, himself believes that this is going to be a 1-2 back offense. It's not just going to be him, and so far from what I'm looking, we haven't made any dumb signings on running backs. So it's looking like it's going to be Carson and Penny again, which is what I want to see. I think Penny's going to be raring and ready to fucking go for this upcoming season, which is nice.
Would you be interested in signing Todd Gurley?
No, yeah, we know that he's got like degenerative knee problems, so might as well just let him go somewhere else.
Oh, okay. I know he's still out there.
I don't care what y'all say. Baltimore Ravens winning the Super Bowl. Is this the Steven version of a Ravens fan?
I don't know.
I mean, it looks like it, right?
Yeah, because it's all caps too.
Right.
But I have Baltimore. This guy over here doesn't have Baltimore winning division. He said he has Cleveland close, but he said it's a fight between those two. I have Baltimore winning division. Super Bowl now, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I got them winning division.
I do have Cleveland Browns like slightly edging them out, but that's just really got to do with the fact that I think that Clowney. We got what message here? Oh, okay, it's Nemo. Of course, it's Nemo. Nemo's okay.
Another thing I would like to say too. I've always said this: once you're in the playoffs, you're a Super Bowl contender. Once you make the playoffs, you're a contender to make the Super Bowl because anything can happen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I got to say about that. Like, you don't have to win. Yes, winning to your division and getting that home playoff game does help, but in my opinion, if you're in the playoffs, that's when you're a Super Bowl contender because you're in the playoffs. Those 14 teams are in the playoffs, so yeah, you're contending for a Super Bowl because it's one and done from there. So,
yeah, the Houston Texans are in a dysfunctional state, but will be successful in the long run. I got them winning one game this year coming up, and then after that, they should be good with draft capital. They should, honestly, they are one of the better teams in free agency this year. They got I believe it's Philip Lindsay and Mark Ingram in the backfield now.
Backfield, yeah. Really
good backfield. Y'all going to run the football pretty good.
And they still believe they got Brandon Cooks at receiver.
Yes, they do. And a lot of people thought Will Fuller was the best receiver on that team last year, when in all reality, it was actually Brandon Cooks. Yeah. He's quietly having a very, very solid career.
He's bounced around too, and he's played everywhere he's been. New Orleans.
I think he's got over 1,000 yards every time he's went somewhere else, which has never been done.
Yeah, different quarterbacks. I mean, he's obviously had Brady and Breeze, which helps, but and Deshaun Watson. But he other years, he's always had good years. Mm-hmm. He's kind of one of those under the radar like receivers, the small. Super shifty.
Yeah. I don't know. It's one of those things where I just feel like the guy can't find a home. And I always felt like he was deserving of a home. I remember the first time, like the first year he actually left New Orleans, I was like scratching my head. I'm like, why? Why would you get rid of a guy that's like him, he
was probably their best receiver because that was before like Michael Thomas was like Michael Thomas.
Right. And then like when he went to LA, I thought he was the best receiver in LA. I was afraid of Brandon Cooks. I even had him drafted, higher than both Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp because I felt like he was the main guy. And those are two really solid, really good wide receivers.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp's up there is one of the best like slot receivers in the league now. It's like top 5.
He's like a hybrid. Like he's not even just a slot. Like he's good everywhere. You could do whatever you want from him. You could probably hand him the football and he'd still be successful. He's like Christian McCaffrey. He's like the Christian McCaffrey of wide receivers.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, he's very interesting. Let me try to go back here. Can I please get a link to this conference? On a normal day, I would say absolutely yes. Come get a link. Come in here. I'm going to be ending the live shortly. I do have to go somewhere. We're just going to skip over the Deshaun Watson stuff and just move on here.
He has to get beat by me and Madden. That's really what's going to happen.
You say I'm going to get beat by you in Madden?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah, because you said you got to go somewhere, and I said that's what's going to really happen. He don't have to go nowhere. I'm just going to beat him in Madden.
He's going to beat me in Madden? What?
Yeah.
I thought you and Jacob were going to make a live about, a film study on how to beat me in Madden. When's that going to happen?
We could do it tonight.
You might as well just get the practice while I'm out.
Where are you going, actually?
I'm going to go pick up the wife and get the fat man a PSN card.
The fat man can't even get his own PSN.
Hold on, I got some private chats.
Yeah, I was about to say, I see them on the side here.
Yeah, want me to toss up the link or okay? No, we're good, and I will pump the shirts in. Don't worry about it. Don't worry.
Jordan, the only thing you're beating is your dick.
Oh, Jesus.
So he said the shirts are in? Is that what he said?
He just wants me to promote the shirts.
Oh, okay.
You guys want a Fat Man and the Hawk T-shirt? There's a link that's scrolling at the bottom on the ticker. Go and visit that. Come and get a Fat Man and the Hawk T-shirt. We're in the process of making a brand new logo, so that's going to be pretty cool. The one that we have will be, I don't know, maybe we'll archive it or something.
Yeah.
Here's one. I believe they planted the accusations on him. Oh, here we go. Come on, guys. Private message the Deshaun Watson stuff already. When you get drafted, you have to be in control around the surroundings. I'm trying to think of exactly what he means by that.
When you get drafted, you have to be in control around the surroundings.
I mean, not necessarily if you get drafted in the NFL, you have no control no matter where you go. You're going to be the rookie, So there's just no way that you'll have any type of control, to be honest.
Yep, the only thing you can control is who you get drafted by.
Yeah. So would you say, going back to Mac Jones, if Mac Jones starts week 1 with Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson, because we already know that those two are definitely going to be starting week 1.
Yeah.
But if Mac Jones starts with him week 1, which of the 3 quarterbacks has the better season?
I think Mac.
Yeah, you think Mac?
If they're 17, if they're all starting 17 games, I think Mac Jones, because he's gonna be on a more of a winning team. The Jets and the Jags are at least a year or two away from being or at least a good team. I mean, first year head coaches usually don't do well.
Yeah. You know what? I think a lot of people are going to say Mac Jones or Trevor Lawrence. Hell, I think people are going to say Trey Lance and Justin Fields.
I think Justin Fields is going to be the best if I think he's winning Rookie of the Year if he starts. If all 5 quarterbacks started week 1, I would take Justin Fields to win Rookie of the Year. That would be my bet.
I know that the fat man's going to give me a little bit of shit for this, but I've been watching a little bit of Zach Wilson, and he is very, very much like our man Aaron Rodgers in the way he plays the game. He doesn't have the extremely strong arm, but he's got zip to it. He's got the tightest spiral out of anybody in the draft, so his ball is going to carry. He's going to be able to fit that thing in tight windows, unlike the other 4.
He's also only 6'1" now.
So what? There we go. We don't speak of the goddamn Jets. But yeah, their wide receiver core is a little better from last season. I'm not a huge fan of Corey Davis, honestly, but he was somewhat successful with Tannehill and the Titans.
Well, yeah, but at least because I think they still got Jamison Crowder too.
Yeah, Crowder's still there. Crowder's good
because he was their only guy that actually was honestly a starter on a lot of teams. I don't think anybody else would have really started.
Would this be a place that Julio goes to? To the goddamn Jets?
I was thinking that, but if it depends on what he wants. If he wants to win a Super Bowl, obviously not, or if he wants to at least contend for one.
Yeah.
But if it's just about the money, like J.J. Watt,
Yeah.
then
Hold on.
yeah.
Hold on. One second, Jordan. You always ignore me when I ask for a link for this. Clyde, listen, bud, we'll get you on for the next one. If I get you on, you're only going to be on for like 2 or 3 minutes, and I'm going to feel bad. But come back 7:30 on Sunday. We'll get your ass on here. We'll talk some football together.
What team is he fan of?
I'm not sure.
We got a Chargers guy coming on, right? Sunday?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I thought that's what you guys said.
We got a Chargers guy coming on Sunday.
Before we hop off, let us know your team, Clyde, or
yeah. Actually, we're getting ready to wrap things up here. If Dave, you're still listening, buddy, go ahead and plop in. This is a Warzone Productions or whatever the hell you do.
Is this guy on in?
Not sure, man.
That's what the fat man said. What group?
Chicago Bears, do I have your word? Of course you got the Hawks word. Of course.
If you guys are listening and ain't in the 32 Warzone, follow that group on Facebook.
Right. And if you are in the 32 Warzone group and you're not on the Fat Man and the Hawk page, go and follow that group and vice versa. Let's make both groups as big as possible. Come check us out on the YouTube. We got a channel. We got a new video out there. King of the Douchebags, featuring the Fat Man's reaction to the Dolphins' loss in Week 17. Fantastic. Makes me laugh every time I watch it.
Also go in there and hit that subscribe button to their YouTube page. They need more followers.
Yep.
There you go.
And that's all I have, man. I'm the Hawk.
And I'm the Cheeto boy.
I'll see you next time.
See you guys. Have a good one.